On this episode of Star Trek Universe, Effie and I will be discussing Star Trek 107, The Naked Time. Right after these words from our mystery sponsors. I don't know, man. I don't know what that was.
We can't say the word naked now without giggling like fucking toddlers.
Yes. Hello. Have we met?
I know. It shouldn't be surprising. I'm just somehow disappointed in myself.
Welcome into Star Trek Universe, the podcast that started as two lifelong friends discussing Star Trek and is now expanded to include this. I am an old Star Trek fan. Effie is a young Star Trek fan who's never seen this at all. And we're watching listening to her experience it for the first time. And
I'm trying to right the wrongs of the past and catch up on what is it, 900 episodes of?
Oh yeah, something like that. Something like that.
We'll get there. We'll get there. You know, we're 7 in.
Yeah.
Doing good, making progress.
7 in. All right, so this time we're talking about The Naked Time, which apparently I can't say without laughing.
It's a word we can say because we're adults.
Why
was it called that again? It was very little nudie time, so I'm
Sulu took off his shirt.
I guess that's fair, yeah.
But what's confusing is they were
the naked time, the time Sulu was naked. Yeah, it's just shorter.
But they said that guy was showering with his clothes on, so he wasn't naked.
Yeah, that compensates, I guess. I guess they couldn't show the guy actually showering because of,
budget, yeah.
That too. They couldn't pay the man to do that.
The synopsis, per Memory Alpha, once again very short. The Enterprise crew is intoxicated by an inhibition-stripping contagion that causes mayhem throughout the ship. Yeah, man. That's what we're dealing with.
Sure does. There's mayhem.
Again, I hate this. I hate saying this, but it is true. One of my least favorite episodes. I don't like this episode very much at all. There's stuff that I like.
Yeah. So that just serves to give me hope, because if you came into these episodes being like, this is one of the greatest things Star Trek has to offer, I would be like, what have I started? As it stands, you being like, this is kind of shite. I'm there with like, it was fine. I enjoyed myself. Yeah. It was, for its time. It's not that deep, but it's interesting enough. That type of that I can deal with, knowing that better shit is yet to come.
Yeah,
and so I'm good with that.
What's weird and I think I said this last time, but one of the things that makes this show work, even in a bad episode, is the characters and the chemistry.
Yeah.
And the character moments that they give them, McCoy going on about Spock's practically non-existent blood pressure and blah, 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 blah. And Spock's like, the readings are perfectly normal for me, doctor. Thank you. And as for my anatomy being different from yours, I am delighted. It's like, that is wonderful. Yes. That's setting up so much animosity and like rivalry and, between Spock and McCoy. So there's a lot of that you kind of get. I do think it's interesting that there was a lot of, or it feels like like I said, everyone in these shows who are below like bridge officer level, they didn't get the memo that they were an advanced society.
No.
But I do love that. I like the very real, like where they took this guy, the first guy who gets infected, who was like talking about like, oh my God, we're not supposed to be out here. If man was supposed to fly, God would have given him wings.
It just gets pure scaredy cat. Like, what the fuck have I started? Like, I should not. This is just horrible. I've just seen a couple of dead people on a rock in space, and I'm like, why am I here? It makes perfect sense.
We're polluting space.
Not everything does, but that part, believable enough, and not the instant sign of whatever madness it turns out to be.
Well, I don't think that this disease really gives them ideas. It enhances. It's like drinking. It enhances whatever's there in the back of their head anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact that I love that everyone kind of just did their own thing and it became this great character insight. And I love that where he took it was, we're polluting space. We shouldn't be out here. It isn't ours. He says that a couple of times. Riley apparently is incredibly racist because if you're not Irish, you're a piece of shit.
That's just good to know.
I don't need to hear "I'll take you home, Kathleen" again. Please, for the love of God, I'm with Kirk on this one.
Yeah, that was an interesting rendition. Yeah, that's enriched my cultural awareness thoroughly.
I do laugh every time he tells Chapel, you know what Joe's mistake was? He wasn't born an Irishman. What?
It makes no sense.
You're such a dick.
Yeah, absolutely. But his character was just so fun to me. There was just something gleeful in that madness, in that fuck all of you, I will sing a song you don't want to hear. There's just that dickishness that I enjoyed that performance.
Yeah,
it was just funny in places like that where yeah.
So I've always been so annoyed by how how Joe ends up getting the contagion. They're basically on this planet where they think there's probably a contagion. They're in environmental suits, but the environmental suits are open on the bottom. He takes off his glove and sticks his hand inside of his mask to mess with his nose.
Where I'm like, you could have done that with a glove on, but sure.
Yeah, and then leaves the glove and walks around touching shit. Oh my God.
It was absolutely an intro where you go, wow, you are not a scientist and very, very bad at your job. You are very, very, very bad at following the basic safety protocols of your job.
Yeah. And he didn't even say anything after, he walks back and Spock is like, yeah, make sure you don't touch anything, by the way. Oh, okay. Yeah, you touched a bunch of shit.
I'm now not going to alert you to the fact that I did, because God, imagine self-awareness. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm not allowed to work in an IKEA warehouse without wearing steel-toed fucking boots. That's, I don't take those off just because I want to be able to scratch my foot anyway, it's been a while since I worked there, but point being, it's weird to just ignore hazards. I'm gonna lift this fucking bookshelf without any protection. It's just, God.
Yeah. I mean,
touch the weirdly frozen planet stuff. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like that environmental suit was flimsy enough. He could have just scratched his nose through it. By the way, you want to know what those environmental suits are made of?
Tell me.
They were shower curtains.
That makes a lot of sense. That explains a whole lot.
Yeah,
I was like, this is an interesting fabric for these hazmat suits, but that go figure.
Yeah, you love the little Venn diagram rings going through the mask. Why would you design it that way? Because it was already that way.
Yeah, it just makes it a bunch easier.
That was the clear part at the top of the freaking curtain.
Now I desperately want to go. Because I want to see it again and just find it again, because knowing that will make it infinitely more fun to look at.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things about rewatching is seeing stuff on the walls and knowing that they the special effects people were like, oh, this looks like machinery, but what they had to do was they went around and they found the giant boxes where the giant printers came in. And it was right when they started having the big styrofoam pieces to keep the printers in place. So they took all the styrofoam and painted them and put them on the wall and make them look like alien machinery. They would go and get cup lids from the commissary and paint them and stick them on the wall to look like dials in an alien spaceship.
As you do.
I love that stuff. I love all of that.
Yeah. It works. it has that quality on occasion where you're like, oh yeah, this is, you know, we're on a budget. You're fumbling around. It's fun, but it's it has a charm to it where yeah, it's not like we could just fancy fanoodle everything with CGI like we do nowadays, but it's there and it looks the way it's supposed to look, and that's fine, and it's worked for decades since.
Yeah. I just there's a part of me that I would love to, and Matt and I actually did start collecting shit so that we could make a Star Trek fan film. But it was like on a ship that wasn't Federation, so we could kind of make it the way we wanted to. But we were like finding stuff, and it was one of the most fun things. And we never made it, of course, but it was one of the most fun things. That tends
to happen to like great plans.
Yeah. We had like a balcony that like had stairs going down to a landing, and we were gonna like build like an awning / set over like the front of the front door, and so that it would basically look like a cockpit / bridge. It was stupid. Right. It was stupid. But we had plans and stuff. I mean,
yeah, of course, but like that's fun stuff to figure out.
Anyway, my favorite line of this episode is when Sulu grabs Uhura and says, "I'll protect you, fair maiden," and she wiggles out of his grip and says, "Sorry, neither."
Nice.
I loved that.
Yeah, that's and I really enjoy just the Sulu, you're ripped, and let's ride in the fencing bit, and you're just gonna go. That performance was all out. That was just delightful. The sweat dripping from that man's face. Oh my god.
They went to his like little trailer and they were like, "Take off your shirt," and he like took it off, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do the swashbuckling scene with you without a shirt." And they were like, "He looks great." And then, like, George Takei was like, "Oh Jesus!" It started like doing push-ups like crazy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and they gave him the option of either using a samurai sword or a fencing foil, and he chose the fencing foil because he felt like in this far in the future, ethnicity didn't determine what you would prefer. So he chose the fencing foil. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, that's wise. Otherwise it would have been like kind of more of a tropey thing, and this way it was. Yeah, and we got the D'Artagnan joke where it's like we're having a musketeer joke. That wouldn't have been as possible. Then we'd have to go like a Seven Samurai reference or something. It wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah. And I really wish I could like pull George Takei aside and be like, "That's awesome." As someone who lives in Alabama, most people here didn't notice the difference. They'll be like, "Yeah, you know how that Sulu walks around, running around naked with that damn samurai sword."
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
I'm like, it was a foil.
As you damn well should be. I don't worry. I feel sad at most everything I hear about Alabama. So
yeah, I mean,
it happens. It happens.
Really pretty country though. Really is. It actually is pretty here.
Yeah, I'm sure the land is fine. It's just, the people and the politics.
Yeah. There's a lot of badness there. But, whatever. I mean, I feel like there's bad everywhere though, for real. It's just different.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. There's many shades of shit.
Yeah. Comes in many flavors and consistencies.
I'm not sure about the flavors, but I'll take your word for it.
I've heard. But yeah, the strength of this episode really is the peeling back the layers of the crew and seeing their hidden faces to some degree. Chapel telling Spock, "I'm in love with you." The human Mr. Spock, the Vulcan Mr. Spock. She's in love with both sides, and I'm sorry. And he does seem sorry. He seems to want that.
He was actually just confused and torn, and there was something going on there that was very interesting. Yeah.
But also, telling Kirk, my mother, I could never tell her I loved her.
Oh, fuck.
Being a part of a society where it's considered bad taste to show emotions. Love it. And at the same time, Kirk is having his breakdown.
Yeah, because it's it's eerie and weird to see him show that much of his emotional side, and at the same time it deepens that very tragic background purely on the basis of, well, fuck, you have no outlet for any of what's going on inside you, knowing full well that he is not fully Vulcan and has to deal with that half side, where it is for him an actual challenge to keep all that locked up, I guess. And that's rough. That's just, yeah, that's a dark line. Yeah.
And by the way, his original scene in this episode was supposed to be that guy with the paintbrush who walks by and was supposed to paint a mustache on him, and that was his whole scene. And Nimoy was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, he went
no, that's not good enough.
He went to Roddenberry, and Roddenberry was like, no, I agree. You should go through something emotional. And then he went and talked to the writer, and the writer was like, I'm already writing the next episode. And then winds up writing. By the way, they didn't have time to do multiple takes. Nimoy got all that in one take. That was what he did in one take.
Fuck yeah. Go figure. Yeah. That was one of the better scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But I love everything, like, between him and Kirk. I love Kirk saying, this vessel I give, she takes, she won't permit me my life. I've got to live hers. And, have it sort of like playing into the point that I've made before, that Kirk isn't really like, he's not just like a piece of shit running around sleeping with everything in the galaxy. He's a serial monogamist, and he has this like horrible desire
wants to sort of escape and live that pretty homely life and get out of it.
But, he tells Spock, I have a beautiful yeoman. Ever noticed her, Mr. Spock? You're allowed to notice her. The captain's not permitted. No beach to walk on. All of that stuff. Like, he wants that life. But he also wants the Enterprise, and he wants the galaxy. And he
has that sense of duty, and, like, he's not going anywhere.
But even as he's, like, regaining his resolve, he looks around at the Enterprise and says, never lose you. Never. Like, dude, you are obsessed with this ship and obsessed with, like, this kind of life.
Creepy.
Like, it's creepy, but it's, like, really interesting character work for so early on.
Sense, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I almost feel it's a shame that there's so much time on the characters I feel I don't really know at all yet. Like, most of the rampant, like, outside of Sulu, who was it again? The Irishman, and like, there's just a couple of people who feel to me like, should I remember who these people are?
Nah.
Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, but that could have also been used on someone more important to the general arc of every other episode, because the thing you did with Spock is actually interesting. So do something like that with more of the characters in the true ensemble cast.
Well, I would have liked to have seen more of Uhura than Riley. I would have liked to have seen, though Riley singing did, like, I really liked the bits between Uhura and Kirk where they're like yelling at each other.
Yeah.
That was great.
But actually, people actually got annoyed and stressed, and it wasn't all under control. That was neat. Yeah,
I did like that. Like, the Riley bit could have been Scotty, but at the same time, Scotty was trying to get into the engineering. So, and what's funny is that, like, once we get to season 2, the Riley character is pretty much like, they basically, like, got rid of Riley, and they were toying with having him in the show consistently at this point, and it just didn't really happen. But they thought they were going to continue his character. But by season 2, there is no Riley, but they have introduced a young character with a very similar haircut named Chekhov, who's Russian, who also thinks that everyone who's not Russian is inferior and thinks that Russia invented everything.
Oh, that is intriguing.
Yeah.
We'll see where that goes.
It's totally played for laughs. It's totally played for laughs. Yeah, like, everything, he's like, they're like, oh yeah, have you ever had brandy? He's like, yeah, it was invented by a little old lady in Leningrad. It's just shit like that, where it's like everything was invented by a Russian guy or a Russian woman.
That makes sense. It's enough propaganda will do it to
you. But still, the middle of Cold War is kind of a big deal to have a young Russian guy on the bridge sitting next to a Japanese guy.
Yeah, that too. Oof.
With a black lady in the background during civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was appreciated in certain circles. Oof.
Yeah. I have no idea how bad that went over in the South, for instance, but
I mean, on the other hand, they might have been, busy with worse things to be racist about at the time. So,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't yet high up the list. Maybe that's more culture war shit from nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure they wouldn't have liked it. I'm just not sure they cared enough.
Yeah, like if Uhura had been like, the captain, they would have been mad.
Oh, sure. But
for sure.
At the same time, I'm like, it feels like some of those people would just be like, "Oh, space, that's not real. I need, there's already, this is against my Christian values of, no, there's nothing out there, other planets. What do you mean God created this one place in 7 days and that's it?" And
yeah.
I'm just... Yeah. I feel like it would already not be recommended viewing for their kids anyway. So
yeah. Well, during the original run, I don't think when did we land on the moon? When did America land on the moon? Was it 69?
I think so. I should really know this better.
I should too. 69. Yeah.
Yeah.
July 69. Like a week after the original series stopped airing, like in its first run, it was canceled. But we landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Star Trek went into syndication and became immensely popular.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense with just the sudden focus on the topic and interest in the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they were actual, possibilities in large quotation marks, not quotation marks. There's a different word when you use them in this context.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just air quotes. I guess
air quotes, yeah. I know it's not the same thing, but
it's what. Yeah, I'm not quoting anything. It's just the sarcasm is in there. It's grammar is a weird thing, especially in your second language. Anyway,
it's in my first language. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, what is it? Fine. What's the word? What's the word? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll think of it later today. It'll be like 6 or 7 o'clock, and I'll be like, "Shit, it was that."
It'll be okay. Someone will email in and be like, "No, it's just quotation marks, you dumb fuck," and I'll be like, "Right, okay, never mind me," and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. Here's a fun bit. On the special Leonard Nimoy Star Trek Memories, Nimoy mentions that after the airing of this episode, his fan mail jumped from dozens of pieces per week to thousands.
Jeez. Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's intense. And it makes sense. Yeah. Well deserved.
Yeah. He knew. Don't paint that mustache on me. Give me something meaty to do. Yeah, give me something.
Yeah. Let me act.
So interestingly, this episode was supposed to be the first part of a 2-parter, and they were supposed to, there's an episode later on where they go to the past.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be part 2, but they wound up making it to where they're like, well, the formula worked. We can go back in time to any planet, any era. Well, maybe we may risk it someday, Mr. Spock. And then they do. But for research purposes, they wound up making this not a first part, but it does set up things that they do later.
Yeah, no, I assumed that was going to go somewhere, because if there is one spoiler I know, it's like double Spock. So that's a thing I will eventually, hopefully, get to. But
double Spock? You're talking about from the Kelvinverse.
I'm like that type of shit fuckery like happens. So I'm like, there is time travel in this universe. I know that much.
So much.
It's just how, yeah, exactly, and that is very fun because I enjoy those narratives if they're well done. It's also very easy to fuck up a time travel narrative. We've recently seen one. But
what was that?
Oh, we've talked about The Flash plenty on this fucking podcast by accident.
I literally didn't know what you were talking about, and I was like, "Wait, which one?"
Sorry, I get it. I just realized it's spoke the words and was like, oh, I should really not get into that.
If I watch a time travel thing, it means it's probably one of 3 days in the week. And as I'm gonna be watching, I love time travel.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. But like it's best when it's done best, and it's just also very bad if it's done very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. But what was I saying about that? Anyways, yeah, time travel is possible now, but it indeed, because it doesn't directly lead into anything yet, it felt like, okay, we're setting that up, but also it feels like an afterthought because it's very quickly in there, and you don't have that sort of to be continued vibe. It's so I it makes sense to me hearing like, oh, this was intended to be a direct lead into a second part, and then yeah, you know, if that not happening, it explains some things about how that went at the end there. But it is fun that the solution of with the fuel and everything, the science battle actually helps with the like, oh no, we can go that fucking fast now. And that does open up a whole lot of story possibilities that I'm very curious to find out what they are.
Yeah. So we just finished The Naked Time. We won't get to the intended part 2 until episode 21, and it is not treated that way. They wrote it in a way that it was like,
damn it.
It is called Tomorrow is Yesterday, and they were very much like, we're now on a mission to observe 20th century Earth. They don't mention the other thing, but we now know because of that, of The Naked Time, that they can go back in time.
Yeah, right. I feel like you've mentioned that title before, and I'm now mad how long that's going to take. It's going to be a while before we get there, but we'll get there, damn it.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in between, though, so.
Well, that helps.
Galileo 7's fun. Conscience of the King is good. Like, yeah, man. There's some good stuff in here. Menageries Part 1 and 2. Squire of Gothos is fun. Arena. I mean, come on. Some good stuff.
Come on. I'm not like downplaying the quality of any of the things I haven't yet seen. What do you mean, come on? I'm like, no, I'm enthused. I'm still here.
Uh-huh. Oh, good.
No, I'm sorry. I'll live before the time travel episode. Jesus, it'll be good. It'll be fun. I'm sure not all of it will be good, but you know that's what happens.
Oh yeah, no, it won't. It won't. The joke on Futurama was one of my favorite jokes. It's like Star Trek is illegal on that episode because it became this giant religion. And it was a threat to the government, so the government like made it illegal. And
yeah, that's what you do.
So Fry goes to talk to Leonard Nimoy, and he goes, remember that sci-fi show you were a part of? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he goes, 79 episodes, about 30 good ones.
Oh, rude. Yeah. Well, you gotta get through all of them once. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think. Do you have anything else? Did you find anything of, aside from character work that was like really, something to talk about with this episode? Cause
yeah, no, it was pretty straightforward. I was sort of, yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting choices in design where I'm like, okay, so we have an ice planet, but like when I got introduced to that scene, I was like, okay, they're frozen, but why are we so sure there's some sort of infection or madness going on? Because I was just like, they're all fucking frozen.
Well, they didn't take precautions. They didn't turn on like the energy or whatever.
It makes sense, but it took me longer to get there, so it felt sort of, why do it then? I did have a good giggle at the trying to use the phaser to burn that hole in the wall next to the door, I guess, when the engineering unit trying to get in there, where I was like, how long is this going to take? Because you're halfway and you're saying it's another 20 minutes. Like those minutes did not quite add up. That was just where I was like, come on. What do you mean you have that many minutes left?
We have to be careful because there's other circuits on the other sid or something that you can make up something. Come on.
Right. You can. Of course you can headcanon that shit. It was a funny shape. It was a weird shape. Yeah.
It was like a state or something, like on a map.
Yeah, it was indeed like very weirdly rectangular and yet somehow Texas.
Yeah. It's skinny Texas.
That feels like an oxymoron.
Yeah. What was great is you saw the remastered version, I assume, because
Probably, yeah.
in the original version, and for like a good 40 years, there was no phaser beam coming out of that phaser. They never put it in the show, so like for decades, we just saw like Scotty like holding that phaser and moving it, and we saw like the burn happening on the wall, but we never saw a phaser beam coming out of the gun.
Okay.
So they finally added that in the remastered editions.
Yeah, no, I did indeed see the version with a beam. It's just what Netflix standard serves up now.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
There is. I'm not sure if there's another Dutch streaming service that also has the old show, but I'm not sure if it's probably also the restored version, but it's. I'm not entirely sure if it's mostly a shit show to navigate because they translated everything. There's no need to translate a fucking show that's English, but it's apparently what that fucking streaming service decides to do. So all the titles are real weird to like sift through because they're not always good translations and it's just confusing. So I don't use it. I just watch the Netflix one. So I do always get the remastered editions. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got on this episode.
That's perfectly fine. We'll see. We'll talk to the people next time. It's how it goes.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow along with us, what's next? Charlie X?
I have no clue.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I'm looking at. Charlie X, yeah. It's like one of my least favorite episodes, followed by one of my favorite episodes, Balance of Terror. So
okay. We should record 2 in a row next time again. That seems like a wise idea. Just to end on a high note and not get depressed. Yeah.
Charlie X isn't bad. It's just it's a weird. It's a very Twilight Zone type of episode, which is
okay.
Okay.
I'll see for myself. I have no clue yet what it's even about.
Yeah. You'll be fine. All right. Well, until next time. Oh wait, Star Trek UCast@gmail.com. If you want to write in, we will do feedback. And Joel on True, live long and prosper.
And eat a dick, apparently.
Yeah, that's what we established episodes ago. You can always change it.
I could, but now it's apparently a thing, and the worst thing is I don't remember why.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah,
I heard it the other day editing, and I was like, oh my god, you're supposed to eat a dick. That was the thing.
Oh, I'm supposed to eat the dick on the recording.
No, you're supposed to say...
sound.
You're supposed to say eat a dick. I'm sorry.
So I did it right. Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to eat one of those things.
Yeah, no. Jesus, why would you? I mean, they should, because I'm telling them to, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I have more to do. I have hobbies.
Yeah, we all have better things to do than eat a dick.
Well, some of us.
No judgments, I guess.
No. If you want to eat a dick and you have nothing better to eat a dick, that is absolutely your prerogative.
Yeah.
And such is the official stance of this program.
Such is the evolved official stance of Star Trek Universe podcast. There will be no dick eating shaming here.
Nope. No take backsies on this opinion. It is the statement we are putting out today. Go eat a dick if that's what you want to do.
Use your teeth. Use your teeth to pop a scrotum pimple.
I'm not sure I would have gone that specific, but I will never be able to get that visual like scrubbed from my brain cells.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Until next time.
Bye.
I'm just gonna hang up now. Bye.
Thank Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Roberson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.